We often talk about animals as inferior to human beings. But I would say there's one thing that they have that I think we've lost. They have one ability that they have over us, and that ability is being able to just be. Have you ever watched animals for a second or for a minute and just observed them? Whether it's with the dogs and the cats in your house, or an apex predator in the wild, like a lion. They live very simply. A lion simply rests and does what it needs to do, and it only hunts until it gets hungry. But until then, it doesn't worry about anything. My two dogs in my house lay around all day. They sleep, they eat, they play with me, they cuddle, they go on walks, and that's it. They don't try to be anything more than what they are. They just are, and they're happier for it. I could say that my two dogs are stupid and lazy and good for nothing. Of course, that isn't the case. I love them to death. But I could say whatever I want about them, and they wouldn't care. They would continue being themselves, happy and free. And I think it's this ability to just be that a lot of us can learn from. Because as a species, humans strive for so many standards and expectations, achievements and successes. We chase validation, we chase legacy, and we do all these things all because of the fact that we don't feel like we're enough. And we feel the need to do this thing. We feel the need to prove ourselves just so we can accept ourselves. We need to prove ourselves so that we can believe that we're enough. But the great actor Jim Carrey once said, he wishes that every person could become rich and famous and achieve all the dreams that they've ever wished for, just so they could see that that isn't the answer. And it isn't. And that's proven by the countless cases of all these celebrities and billionaires and influencers that, to be frank, have everything they've ever wanted, but they feel like shit. They still feel like they aren't enough. And in my own personal case, I have lived a lot of my life chasing excellence, whether that was in sports or school or hobbies or all these other things I engaged in. And in a lot of these, I achieved a lot of the goals that I set for myself. And it felt great. But each and every time, once that internal applause subsided, I realized that I'm still me, and I'm still stuck with me. There's still that voice in my head that still needed to prove itself to other people. It still needed to prove itself to me. And that's when I realized that all these goals and expectations and standards that we chase aren't even our own. All of these things that we want to prove ourselves to were things that we internalized from other people, because our parents told us that we're supposed to do this, our peers told us that we're supposed to do this, your favorite influencers told you that you're supposed to do this. And once you do this, you're gonna be enough. If you get a good job, you're gonna be enough. If you make this amount of money, you're gonna be enough. If you do this by X time, you're gonna be enough. And you just have to prove yourself that you can do this. But at the end of the day, it's all noise. And it's all bullshit. And it just makes me think, why can't we just be? Why can't we just live? and do things and do what we need to do and have that be enough? Why do we chase all of these expectations? Why do we chase all of these standards just so we could be enough? Why can't we just be? Why can't we just exist and be ourselves and have that be enough? Because once you start doing anything from a place of emptiness, when you do anything from a place of not feeling like you're enough, you're just going to be unhappy, for most of it. You're not going to find joy in the process. You're not going to find joy from each moment to moment. But I want to live a life that's full, not of status or achievement or success, but of presence, I simply want to love deeply. I want to work sincerely, and I want to explore freely. Because life isn't a task to be completed. It's an experience to be lived through. Because no matter what you achieve, no matter how many things you do, no matter how many times you prove yourself to yourself once again, you're gonna die. And at some point in time, everyone's gonna forget about you. But all you have right now is this chance to live, right? So just live and be present and just be, whether that's walking, eating your favorite foods, doing hobbies, fulfilling your responsibilities, being confused, lost, growing, figuring things out. Of course, you're not going to have everything figured out. Of course, you're not going to have everything together. That's part of being human. And so just be, enjoy the process. You don't need to prove yourself to the world. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You can just be, and that's enough. And once you start operating from that stance, everything just starts to feel like play. Because you start living life your way. And you start living life and having the fact that you're living be enough. Because as ugly and as difficult and as terrible as it can be, living can also be so beautiful. And I don't want to waste my time striving for all these things other people set for me, and I miss out on the day-to-day moments because of it. I end up worrying about all these things that I don't actually care about, all these things that aren't going to fulfill me, and all these things that even if I get to that point, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to feel enough because I didn't feel enough in the first place. And so I'm just tired of having to prove myself to me, to other people. I just want to love deeply and work hard and do my best and have that be enough. So that's my message for today's video. If you have any animals around you, try to be like them every once in a while. It's okay to just be. You don't need to be anything more than what you are. You can improve on yourself, but you don't need all these things to be enough. So yeah, that's all for now. I hope you have a good morning. And peace, my fellow peasants.